like I go down, but you messed me up when you came around. When the high wore off, no, you needed space, but I don't wanna wait. I don't wanna miss it. Few thousand miles in an ocean away, but I see the sunrise, oh, just like the other day. Picture your eyes as I fall asleep. Tell myself it's alright, oh, as the tears roll by. I wish I could feel your face. I'm helpless when I'm oceans away. As the tears roll by. Oceans away. I never felt a room so still. See the future coming, hope it isn't real. I learned to fake a smile as the time runs out. I don't wanna wait, oh, I don't wanna miss it. Few thousand miles in an ocean away, but I see the sunrise, oh, just like the other day. Picture your eyes as I fall asleep. Tell myself it's alright, oh, as the tears roll by. I wish I could feel your face.
You're listening to the RMPodcast, the official podcast of Red Moon Productions. Here are your hosts, Brandon Davidson, Keith Cheatham, and Sean Sebastian. Enjoy.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Red Moon Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Brandon Davidson, alongside our normal new host,
Sean Sebastian.
and
Keith Cheatham.
we're doing things a little differently this week, guys. We've got it lit up green
No reds today.
because of our fearless, compassionate Governor Andy Beshear here in the great state of Kentucky.
Papa Andy.
He's fearlessly leading us through
Papa Andy.
Papa Andy. I'm telling you, when I saw that
He
meme,
takes care of us.
when I saw that meme of what was it? I think it was the Toy Story.
Yeah,
meme
I've seen the one with Toy Story
Andy
and
written on
Andy
his
on
foot.
the foot. Yeah, I've seen
I
the
just
same one.
couldn't help. I was like, that was pretty good.
That's solid. Yes.
No, but we had it lit up green there. Whoops! There's our little logo popping up there for a second.
Little logo.
We had it lit up green there because yes, apparently green is the color of compassion, or so chosen by our city.
I said it's the color of
So-
envy, but then everybody told me to shush. So.
Well, yes,
you
because
know.
hey, come on now, you're not supposed to just kill the mood.
Yeah.
All right.
I just thought, we
I
could just,
prefer red over green, so I.
Well, and then we did. We've
yeah.
gone back. We've gone back to red.
Mm-hmm.
We're back on red. It's well, at least our
back on
halo.
red. That doesn't sound good. It's like we're back on red.
Yeah, not in a bad way because of Red Moon Productions.
No, we're always in the red.
Well, you know what we're not in the red on? Because of you, good sir. We've got plenty of it right here in the studio.
Toilet
This
paper.
beautiful. Oh my gosh,
Bra-
just look at that.
Brandon.
I was struggling this
He
past
ran
week.
out, and I had two 12-packs. So I was like, I'll give you one.
Thank you. I
You
paid
know.
for it.
Actually,
I
yeah,
just
he
think
paid
it's-
me for it, but
I just think it's
still.
funny. It's just like I'm gonna come over this weekend with a 12-pack.
It's like
Toilet paper.
of TP.
Well,
But no, it was.
you gotta do what you gotta do.
I'm telling you, it's ridiculous. You get out there, you go shopping, and I was a
you
little
can't
bit
find it.
skeptical. I was skeptical early on, and I thought, okay, in a month or so, this is going to calm down. It's
No.
not. And I'm telling you, we have a rich supply right here on the table that not an hour ago I didn't have, and
Yeah.
I was really like,
It depends on where you live because there's not too many places where I live that don't have some toilet paper. It's not they don't have a selection,
yeah,
but whatever they have pallets of.
yeah,
And I didn't have a problem getting any last on Sunday.
yeah.
But I think it's because this is just Louisville and people are crazy.
Well,
If
it's a
you
bigger
drove to
city and you have a lot of
Shepherdsville or
people.
somewhere like I think you'd get it.
Well,
But
I
it's
think
just
you also have to consider the population of how many people
right.
live
That's
in an
I
area,
think that's
so-
why it's not just the.
Though there
just the
are
city,
plenty of
but
crazy people going
there
out.
are
and just
plenty of
ordering.
Well,
crazy
and I mean,
people,
it's
but yeah.
sad when you get a whole pallet in a store, but it's like got 3 boxes and they're all empty.
Yeah.
And it's like they're only getting. I mean, I was frustrated because on my search, I'm like, I went to at least 5 different places,
That's insane.
and no one had any. And I was even more upset because I'm like, okay, fine if you don't have any. At first, I'm blaming the stores.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, you all aren't ordering enough, even though you're saying there's a limit.
Yeah.
And then I'm pissed because I'm like, I don't care if you set a limit if you don't have any stock. What good's the limit?
Yeah.
And then you all brought it to my attention in the group text with my rant. You were like, "Well, it's not that they're not ordering more; they aren't
The
the suppliers
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't
aren't
have enough.
providing."
Yep.
And so I'm sitting here frustrated, and then I'm sitting there and I'm like, "Well, they could at least put up a sign or something that says, hey, we don't have any. Don't come here."
Yeah.
To limit more foot traffic for people just going in to check for toilet paper.
Yeah.
Because now you got, talk about social distancing.
know.
You don't have any when people
No.
are looking for toilet paper.
No, they're all up on your business.
Yeah.
I mean, when you work in
what you
retail,
getting
you
into?
you get an understanding of like the ordering and all that. I mean, during wintertime when I worked at Lowe's, it was rock salt, and we would have thousands of bags
Yeah.
of rock salt in stock. just ready for winter.
Just ready.
But once it was gone,
It was
you
gone?
could order. I mean, you could place an order for 30 pallets of it, and it just would be weeks before it came in.
That was
By
the
the
end
time
of
it
it.
came in, the snow was gone.
Yeah.
But it was just once when everybody's ordering it, you're just in line waiting to get it.
Waiting to get it
So
from
I
the
don't
supplier.
doubt the stores are trying their hardest to get it.
Yeah.
But there's no supply.
It's like once people find out they're getting it in, I mean, they line up and then they clear it out before anybody else has
Yeah.
a chance to go in and get any.
Yeah.
Well, I've got a little bit more detail on my, I guess, COVID story a little later on, because our
Yeah.
story time segment,
Yeah.
we're focusing on that. What is our worst?
Say one of our viewers, Neil, he
Oh.
said no TP up here in Boston.
Wow, it's everywhere.
So
You know, it's funny.
It's everywhere that it's not.
You had said, it depends, and that made me think of Depends. I mean, if you're that desperate, Brandon,
Yeah.
you can always just get you some
here's,
Depends.
here's what my lazy butt didn't do is hook a bidet back up that I have, because it's like,
you have a bidet.
I know,
Yeah.
and I've
You don't need toilet paper.
I don't, but I got a toilet last fall and it's oval shaped, so
Yeah.
I got to move it from one bathroom to the other, and I just haven't done it.
Just these.
And in this day and age,
inconveniences.
you should do it. It's going to take something like the COVID to get
Yeah.
me to move it back.
But even then, you still got to have like one piece of TP to
Yes.
check.
Oh yeah,
and
you
dry
gotta
with.
dry. Yeah,
Yeah, you don't want to use a towel.
well,
you could. I mean, they
mean,
wash. I
they-
mean, if that's all you're doing is pat and dry.
you're talking about Depends. They have they have disposable / washable diapers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, you can
Get
you
you a
could
diaper genie and a box of Depends,
Or you can
and
just
you should be okay.
Cut a towel into strips and wash it.
Yeah.
ooh.
I mean,
yeah.
these are challenging times.
These are very tough
times,
times, and we are obviously facing first world problems,
Yeah.
and no toilet
Yeah.
paper is one of them. But you know what? We got a great show for everybody today.
Yeah.
All right, we do. We got plenty of toilet paper. Our tushies are happy, so now we can move on with the rest of the news going on in the film industry, because it's not really moving anywhere.
Nope.
But we do have a great review planned for everybody. Obviously, because it is now on streaming. It was a movie we were overlooking, but
It's available for on demand. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and everything is sparse now, so we were like, well, might as well. I mean, Trolls World Tour is next week, so
Oh god.
or this
I
week.
was- yeah,
So
this
it's
up-
There's
it's
got to
like
be
upcoming
something
week.
else coming out. That
No,
we can
I mean, that's
review.
probably the biggest movie, so
Really?
I'm sure that's the one. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's plenty, but
Scraping the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah, it is. We don't have any excuse
gosh.
not to watch them either.
I know.
I
'cause
know
we
it.
got time.
no, this other one, like I was interested with, I guess, just because I knew where it was coming from as far as the source material, and the action looked like it could be interesting, but overall, the trailers I thought just looked blah. So we had nothing else to watch
Yeah.
really, so
Yeah.
we decided to review Bloodshot. So I mean, here is my review of Bloodshot. The third weekend with theaters shut down has passed, and while many films have been delayed and productions halted, there is still a small trickle of new films being released through streaming and on-demand services. One such film, Bloodshot, saw a theatrical release only for theaters to close a few days later. Bloodshot stars Vin Diesel as Ray Garrison, a United States Marine who is kidnapped and murdered along with his wife Gina by a group of mercenaries seeking intel on a prior mission Ray carried out in Mombasa. When Ray is resurrected and turned into a super soldier through nanomachines used to replace his blood by a cybernetics company, Rising Spirit Tech, Ray soon gets his chance to exact revenge on the men who murdered him and his wife. Not all is as it seems, though, and Ray discovers a secret kept from him by Rising Spirit CEO Dr. Emil Harding, portrayed by Guy Pearce. Bloodshot is based upon a comic series of the same name published by Valiant Comics. Forming a partnership with Sony, Valiant Comics and Sony made an initial 5-film deal to bring multiple Valiant comic book titles to the big screen, starting with one of their most popular characters. While Sony and Valiant may be hoping to create a larger franchise, much like Warner Brothers and DC, or Disney and Marvel, Bloodshot unfortunately is a rocky start. The story and premise is interesting, but much of the film is stereotypical and uninspired. Vin Diesel as the lead character is fine, but nothing spectacular or much different than many of his other action personas. Guy Pearce is a charismatic antagonist, but likewise isn't too impressive. What they lack in depth, however, both actors do make up in gusto, as they both chew the scenery, giving entertaining performances even if they aren't particularly great. The film is just simply too formulaic and cliched. Most of the characters are stereotypical and the film is predictable. The film offers up plenty of action and the fight scenes are fun, with decent eye candy, especially scenes showing off what Bloodshot and the nanomachines inside him can do. Still, however, even these aren't as creative as other action films and lack believability at times. Yes, we know many of these characters are enhanced, but much of what they can and can't do is blurred. Most superhero films try to ground their character's power in some believable way, but when a character with no superhuman strength jumps 10 stories down on top of an elevator without snapping their legs, we've passed the realm of believability. This is the film's biggest flaw. Sure, there's a solid premise and cool action, but little exposition. Scarce human emotion and interaction, and no precedent for what the characters should be able to do. Ultimately, Bloodshot is a mediocre film. There are entertaining moments, but once you get past the spectacle, which happens fairly quick, you are left with a dull film that squanders a solid concept. It's not an unrecoverable start to a larger Valiant franchise, but is definitely a poor one. I give Bloodshot 2 out of 4 stars.
All right, 2 out of 4. I think earlier when we were on doing our Great Day Live segment, we all agreed 2 out of 4.
Yeah.
So that's
Yes.
Which that's going to air later, but
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
you could view that.
on
we
Thursday, right?
Thursday,
did.
I believe.
Yeah. We did all agree 2 out of 4 stars.
Yes. So I agree with almost everything you said in the review, other than, and I think even Brandon too, like you kind of went, the action wasn't that great. I thought there was
That was
quite
the
a
saving-
bit,
yeah.
but I think that maybe been all it had.
Well, I mentioned that in my review. That
yeah, some
the
of the
action-
fight scenes and stuff were pretty, like the scene
Yeah.
in the tunnel when he first goes
Yes.
after, like that was
It was-
legit.
that
when
one
they
was good.
shot him in the face
Yes.
with a shotgun and it flew
Here's
off.
the
and
thing,
came back,
okay,
I
the
love that.
nanotechnology stuff was really cool.
I
And
love
there
that.
was some cool parts, and I will say that the part in the tunnel was by far, I think,
the best, I think, part of the whole movie.
I think it was the
yeah.
it was. But and a lot of it I chalked up to just the slow motion, the color
Yeah.
effects with like the fog
Such a
and how
vivid
everything.
red.
Yeah.
and-
I said
oh,
that
man.
the action was good. I liked it, but it wasn't as creative as I think other superhero movies can be.
Yes.
Now, the nanotech stuff I did really love. Like I said, I loved the shotgun blast. I loved at the end when he shoots like the grenade launcher at him or whatever. Like anytime like you see parts of his body fly off
Right.
and then come back together,
Yeah.
I thought that was a really unique way of showcasing the nanotech stuff.
Yeah.
But at the
Yep.
same time, I felt like they could have done more with it. That
Is it
I
weird
don't
that,
know.
and even though they set it up to be
well,
somewhat
obviously,
believable in their universe, like that part I thought
Not all
like,
of it is though.
But and that was the thing, like the part you were describing where he gets shot in the face and then it comes back.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here thinking, but there's other times where I've already seen him get injured and it doesn't come back that quick.
Right, it's
And
slow.
so I was like, that,
It didn't. Yes.
it didn't
Well,
make sense.
There was a lot of moments like that. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, on that point, I actually found that very similar to like the first Transformers movie.
Yeah.
The first time they show Optimus Prime in the alleyway,
Yeah.
he transforms and it's really slow, and they show
All the
they
details.
want you to
Build up.
see the mechanics of how he's transforming, but then. You know, the rest of the time in the movie, they jump, transform, and land, and,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So I didn't. That didn't bother me as much as the fact that like he would get cut, and it would, you know, yes, it would come back together, but body parts being blown off, and then
yeah.
reconnecting and things like that. That did kind of bother me because I wanted to see it more of it growing back,
Yes.
not
not just
back.
coming back
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it was like a magnet.
Yes.
And
Here's-
even then, I'm just sitting there and I was thinking, well, if that's the case, well, then heck, like, I don't know. There were times where it just like I didn't feel any sense of danger at
Yes.
all. And like,
Oh,
I'm like, well,
yeah.
now that I know
Yeah.
that they could just blow him in half and it doesn't matter.
Here's some
Yeah.
problems I had.
and I'm like, well, how does that work then with killing him?
the
you
movie
know?
shows obviously these things will heal him, but then it never hints at that they're capable of anything else. But then he starts to like hacking into stuff when he learns how to fly the plane.
Well, even
or,
when he punches the
or
column.
the super strength.
Yeah.
Yeah, when
Yeah.
he's punching the column. Like they don't hint a lot at what he's capable of doing. He just does it, and I didn't like that because it's not that I don't believe the nanomachines could make him do that. It's just that they never give any indication. He just does it.
Yeah.
So it's felt almost out of the blue.
Well, and-
I had a problem like with him punching the column. He never like injures his hand. It's like he's impervious, but then you see him get shot and stuff, and he's not impervious. So I'm like,
Yeah.
so what can it protect him from?
I
and
Yes.
what
now,
can't
I
it?
thought it did show
Exactly.
him look at his knuckles and they were all screwed up.
He
and
does,
coming
but
back
he's
together.
not hurt by it or
No.
anything.
Yeah.
and also
I
doesn't
liked
show
that it
any.
showed him kind of learning that he was stronger.
Yeah.
Like he lifts the weights and he's
Superior.
like, "Whoa!
Yeah,
like
that
I can lift
thought
this much
was
weight."
okay. It
Yeah.
made
Yeah.
sense, but it was just
It
like
reminded
some of
me
the
of
hacking in stuff.
It
and-
reminded me of crap.
Oh gosh, what movie?
Unbreakable.
Unbreakable.
It reminded me of
yeah.
Bruce Willis realizing his
But
strength,
again,
and I
okay,
like that.
but bringing up that movie it does a good job of showcasing that they're not invincible, that there is a
Yes.
weakness, and that was the only part about this is I was like the whole time I'm like the only thing that makes him weak is if like the power goes out and he gets shut down,
And he
Yeah.
can't
and
heal.
even then it's like okay, but there has to be this massive EMP blast in order for that to happen.
Yeah.
Or he
You know,
just runs
or
out of energy.
He
and
just
doesn't
runs
get
out of
charge.
energy. Yeah.
Which the guy at the end magically said he fixed. It's like, oh, now you never have to recharge. It's like, you don't even explain that. He just says,
Yeah.
I fixed it to
Yeah.
where you don't
It's
have
like
to
an
charge no
upgrade.
more.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. Another problem, I mentioned this directly in my review because it bugged me so much. Him, I believe, the nanomachines made him stronger and impervious. But the guys he's fighting, they just have like these enhanced like legs. Or
Legs.
limbs or eyes.
Yes.
They don't have anything
A
else.
breathing apparatus.
And-
That one
yeah.
was the
Yeah.
dumbest one. The
That
lady
one
with the
was.
That
artificial
was,
lungs.
But
Yeah.
the problem is like they're fighting him and he's fighting them and they're getting thrown through walls. They're doing this stuff and they can't heal like him, but they can take it. I mentioned
Yeah.
directly in the review, the one guy who's blind that has all the things jumps like 10 stories down on top of the elevator, lands on his feet like nothing happened. And it's like he has no enhancements. How does he jump 10 stories and not break his legs?
Yes. Yeah.
It's like
Right.
that stuff bothered me because it was like that's unbelievable.
Well, they just started
because
getting
they're,
lazy.
They're not all
Yeah.
super.
They
like,
started
I
getting
agree with
lazy
that.
in how they were telling the story, and again with so many, it was weird. It was like they were trying to placate off the cliches and some of the things you'd already seen before, and say, well, now you can just kind of go along with the narrative we're telling you because you've
Well, they're
seen
like
these.
it's a superhero film, so they can fight like this. It's
Yeah.
like, not if
And
they
it's
don't
like-
have powers.
Right, and if there's no weaknesses that
Yeah.
you don't describe, then it's like we're going to be left wondering, well, where is this bar of belief and disbelief? And for me, that's what kept wavering the whole movie, other than just pure boredom. I mean, because it was more than just having seen things like this before. It was also just the simple fact that I just felt like there wasn't enough uniqueness and even in the special effects and in the way that they were showing the fight scenes that I was like, okay, if I don't even care about his motivation, I'm already kind of halfway out of it.
Yeah.
And then if there's no real true amazing new spectacle for me to witness, well then I'm checked out with the last half. So I just found myself kept kind of like, blinking and thinking, when is this scene going to be over with?
Yeah.
And moving on. And I guess, I don't know, that seems like I would have given it a lower score than a 2. And I guess the only reason I didn't do that was simply because it does have a cohesive story.
Yeah.
It has one that they try to build.
It's
There's not.
entertaining.
And for me, I thought the fights were entertaining enough that I mean, it wasn't like this completely abysmal movie. It just was a very lackluster movie.
Yes.
Is how I felt.
Yeah, but
about
I mean, again, what we mentioned earlier when we were recording our segment, it was kind of what we expected going into it. It's not like we were really let down.
Yeah,
Because I mean, when you go to see a movie with Vin Diesel, it's not. I mean,
here's
I
like-
hate to say that about him, but
Yeah.
Well,
he's
people-
done some good
It's
stuff.
like
but
people talk
Well-
about how bad an actor is, but he can actually do good stuff
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
times.
Yeah.
It's just it's very
Well,
rare.
And honestly,
Yeah.
surprisingly, there were a few moments in this that I thought he went above and beyond what
Yeah.
I thought the movie was calling for. I thought he did a good job for the character he was supposed to portray. But again, it just wasn't new enough or unique enough. I mean, if I see, honestly, a torture scene, and no spoilers, it's at the beginning of the movie. I look at something like Mission Impossible 3 with Tom Cruise at
Oh,
the
yeah.
beginning and how that's directed with J.J. Abrams. And then I look at this one and I'm
Well,
like,
hell, look
the
at Zero
tension-
Dark 30.
Yes.
That's
Oh,
the
gosh.
realism in that
Yeah.
film. Like, I mean, those scenes make me like it's hard to watch those scenes.
And I guess that's at the end of the day where it's like, depending on what kind of story you want to tell, yes, you could have sold this as more of a Fast and Furious. But then again, Fast and Furious does things, it goes beyond the fact that it's like, okay.
It purposely goes over the top.
Well,
It
and that's
knows
the
it's
thing.
going over
It
the
knows
top.
when it goes over the top that it's like, this is how we're going to make up for the fact that we don't have that sentimental human connection on a deeper level.
But you could still have a level of realism. Look at the first Iron Man when he first gets
Oh.
kidnapped by terrorists and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I mean, obviously, like, no, in real life, someone's not gonna be able to make this super suit and break out. But it was believable. It was done in a way that it felt as if like he was kidnapped by terrorists and was able to
Yes.
whip
Yeah.
this thing together and break out.
well, even the stuff that he was made out of was
Scrap.
resembled the scrap that he had.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it was believable.
It
and
was
it's-
logical, yeah.
and I feel like with this movie, I felt like it was trying too hard, especially with having Vin Diesel be synonymous with the Fast and Furious. There were so many stylistic choices that kind of matched that tonally with those movies, but yet it failed on so many of the other levels that I just kept thinking, why don't I just turn this off and watch a Fast and Furious movie?
Yeah.
And so for me, that's why I was bored through it, and I just kept getting to the point where I was like, I don't feel compelled to finish this.
And here,
KT was the only thing that compelled me
nice.
to want to watch
I
it.
mentioned this in the review, but I have to say because I laughed so much about it because like Guy Pearce, like he wasn't a great performance, but he did chew the scenery, so it was entertaining to watch. But it was funny to me that thinking that both times this man's been in a comic book movie, Iron Man 3 and Bloodshot, neither
Been
one,
terrible.
I was like,
Yeah,
I was like-
neither one
I was
of them
like-
worth
I was
it.
like, Guy Pearce needs to stay away from comic book films because
Well,
Yes.
and again, on another level, and I don't want to get into the jargony talk, but it was just there were moments where they were trying to make him sound like this scientist, and
yes.
and there were just certain lines where I was like, okay, he delivered it correctly, but some of the things he was saying was on such a basic level
Yeah.
that it didn't even sell it to me that it was like
that he was this intelligent guy.
Yeah, it just seemed like you're trying too hard to pass him off that
Yes.
way instead of him actually coming off that way. And so I don't know, I didn't buy that. And then again, it was just a stereotypical cliche. The moment he showed up on the scene, I immediately thought he's the bad
He's
guy.
the bad guy.
And he's
Yeah.
the bad guy.
Yep.
And
I think
so-
that anytime I see Guy Pearce.
Yeah, I mean, he's a good bad guy.
Yeah.
I mean,
He is.
he could
He
be.
can
I
be.
guess I say.
It
True.
depends on the
But,
direction.
My biggest gripe with this movie was that it's been done before.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm from the '90s, so if you've never seen Universal Soldier with Jean-Claude Van Damme
Yep.
and Dolph Lundgren or whatever, like this is an exact knockoff of. And I don't know how old the comic book is, but the Super Soldier reanimated from the past and used for warfare over and over and over again. It's
Yeah.
been done before.
Yes.
And Universal Soldier being a '90s kind of a cult classic, it was done better.
Yeah.
I didn't need to know how Van Damme gets the science behind his reanimation.
Yeah.
All you know is
He's
he
just a super soldier.
He's a super soldier, and his only weakness is very similar. He overheats. It's exactly the same. He has to be kept
Wow.
cold. Over time, he'll overheat, and then he'll die. And it's just like it's almost the
and
exact
to me,
same thing.
They didn't even use the overheating thing.
Well,
to,
this was just he doesn't overheat. I think
But,
I think
well,
that was misleading in
it
the
just
movie because
shows
it
it.
shows the heat. But
Yeah.
it's not that he overheats. He just has to keep charged.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
And
but
in this, it's like being cold is what recharges his body.
Yeah.
And then he can go. But, he takes bullets and explosions and does all this stuff. And it's just like they never really they don't even have to explain it. It's
Yeah.
still a better movie.
Yeah.
So I just really I didn't appreciate that it's just something that's been
done before.
done before.
Well,
and
honestly, it's odd, and I know I'm a fanboying out here, but if you want to talk about a super soldier, or at least one in terms of like with nanotech and
no, I know what you're talking
I
about now.
immediately think of Metal Gear,
yeah.
and I think of Solid Snake, and I'm just sitting here thinking of. You want to talk about a detailed story that's fleshed
Oh, yeah.
out. And granted, I know it's
Yeah.
over several different games and the story gets really convoluted, but even just the basic premise of like him being a clone and then him
Yeah.
being bred for a particular purpose, but then
Oh, that's
him
good.
Yeah.
like it draws a narrative that makes him human and him approachable, and it's like it brings it into the realm of like normal everyday battles that we face with just humanity. And it's just like I've seen this story done, but I've seen it done on such a deeper
Yeah,
and better
yeah,
level
yeah.
that again it just kept driving me to why am I wasting my time with this film?
Yeah.
And it's I guess that's why I gave it 2 out of 4 and not just
Yeah.
like 1 or worse.
Yeah.
To me, it's kind of one of those like if you haven't seen a movie like this, yeah, you may like it. Bloodshot may
It's
it's
okay.
not terrible. It's subpar.
It's funny because we all because you say like you think of Universal Soldier, you think of Metal Gear, but every time I hear Super Soldier, I think immediately of Captain America because it's just
Yeah,
the truth.
yeah,
I mean, they even
yeah.
called it the
True.
Super Soldier.
See, and I think of
Yeah.
like Terminator as well.
Yeah.
You know?
But
Yeah.
speaking of like T2, the idea of the liquid metal,
Yes.
when they introduced
Yes.
that the special effects behind that were so mind-blowing.
Yes.
And I felt like they were trying to go for that. And even though it was very beautiful, like as
Yeah.
a spectacle, it was awesome. But even now in 2019, when this was filmed, it's still not as cool as the liquid metal
yeah.
James Cameron
T2,
came up
yes.
with.
Yeah.
So
And again, and I think a
amazing.
lot of that has to do with the story behind it and the way
Yes.
it's told and the way it's built up.
You asked about when the Brad mentioned.
yeah,
on here
I
that
just
was,
saw that
not-
the comic
actually,
came out in the mid 90s.
I knew that because Valiant Comics itself, I think, was founded, and I could be wrong about that. I know.
Hey,
Imi-
Brad, write us in.
Yeah.
Let us
I-
know if we're
Yeah,
wrong
let us
about
know.
that.
I know
Who
Image.
did it first?
I know Image Comics was founded in the '90s, but I think Valiant was too. I could be wrong about that. But yeah,
Do
a
you
lot
know
of
of
them have
Do you know
them.
of any of the other Valiant comics?
I don't follow like the Valiant comics at all. Like I mean,
Okay.
I've heard of Bloodshot before, but like he's like the only one.
Right.
I'm not really sure.
Brad
about
worked
it.
at a comic book
So-
store, so if you would email us at
RMPodcast
at redmoonproductions.com and let us know
Yeah.
what you think about those comics, and
Yeah.
And-
Or hell, just
yeah.
put it in the comment thread.
That's true.
You know,
That's
just
true.
let us know
everybody
right away.
else can see it. Yeah.
Yeah. But that way we can kind of see, like, you know, if he's a fan of Valiant Comics. I mean, if you all are, you know, out
Anybody,
there,
yeah.
as
Like I
anybody
said,
is.
I don't.
I had never
You
heard
know,
of it at all.
I mean,
So-
of course, Marvel and DC being the biggest two there
Yeah,
is,
yeah.
and then of course I also know Dark Horse, Image, and IDW. I'm not familiar with Valiant at all.
Well, but it's interesting because you'd heard of Bloodshot, and that was obviously the
Yeah,
reason
I
they
have
chose
heard of him.
this, you know, to do a film on
Mhm.
that character, is because they knew that he was kind of the most widely
one
known.
of the more prominent
Yeah.
characters. Yeah.
But I would say at the end of the day, I know they signed on to do 5 of these.
But yeah, not necessarily 5 Bloodshot films,
But
just
5 Valiant
comic.
comic.
Yeah.
So,
I don't. It's a rocky start. If Sony was hoping to plant their flag like with Marvel and DC,
Yeah.
it's like they didn't start off well.
Well, they didn't get much of a theatrical run with this either.
That's true.
I mean, it was only in theaters a
Well,
week
I
or so
noticed,
before
too,
the.
when I
before
when I
they
looked up the
closed.
director for this, he had done.
I think this is his first. Was it?
It's his first feature because he
Yeah.
had done special effects on I think Avengers: Infinity War,
okay.
which probably makes sense as to why the special effects looked
Looked so
amazing
good,
and
yeah.
looked so good. But it's like I think this was his first feature
Okay.
film that he directed. So
And
I mean, and it's like I don't think that's a bad thing. I think he's getting his feet wet.
It's not bad. It
but
also
it's bad in the sense if you're trying to start.
I say
Yeah.
some of it's the
You know, a
writing
series.
too, and it's one of those things where it's hard to tell sometimes if it's the writer or the director,
Yeah.
because a writer can write something, and when the director goes to film it, he can change a lot of that. So you never really know. Is like, well, was it written this poorly, or did the director just make a judgment call that was poor?
Yeah.
But I mean, it definitely. I felt like the writing could have been better, or else he made some decisions that definitely didn't gel well. But yeah, it definitely, I think, needed someone stronger to it, because it wasn't a bad premise at all.
Yeah, it wasn't. But at the end of the day, it's just to start something fresh and something new to kind of give it a place of its own. And with this comic book, you know, world being so cluttered right now,
It
Yeah.
doesn't hold
you
up
really need something
to-
unique to
yeah.
really put your foot out there, your best foot
compared to
forward.
what Marvel's established, and compared to like
Yeah.
DC's latest slate with better films like Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Shazam.
Yeah.
It's like compared to these heavy hitters, it just doesn't hold up.
I think too with things like Marvel and DC, these smaller comic book companies are thinking we got to get our feet in the water
Yeah.
with this because
We're
they're
gonna get
making
so
it big.
far left behind.
And it's like some of them just have no business, being in film.
True.
Like maybe you're just better as a comic book.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You've got your fan base, and,
Yeah.
and truthfully, and that could be too just some studios seeing like, hey, we'll give you a chance, and you can make a quick buck.
Well, everybody wants their own. I mean, with the massive success of Marvel, everybody wants their own little universe
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that.
Well, and
So-
nobody's going to leave money on the table.
No.
Nobody's going to see these things out there and say, you know, I mean, that's the beauty of the video game film franchise that's failed miserably, but they keep trying because, hey, you get one decent one and you're going to make money off of it. And you have a huge fan base that's willing to go out and see your film just because of the content alone.
I don't know, Prince of Persia.
So-
Fantastic movie.
Oh, gosh.
JK.
Jake, hey,
JK.
Jake
Just kidding.
Gyllenhaal.
No, Jake Gyllenhaal. No, I'm sorry, I wasn't saying Jake Gyllenhaal.
All right, guys, I think we're ready to move on to our headlines of the week.
I think so.
We've got 2 major headlines to talk about this week, so we're going to run through the first one pretty quickly, just because there's not a lot to talk about other than we're just kind of anticipated and
it.
excited.
Mhm.
It makes me happy.
And that is that South by Southwest, the canceled film festival that due to the coronavirus had to be
It's
canceled.
a yearly film festival.
It's a
but
yearly
I mean,
film
yeah.
festival. But here's the thing. Being indie filmmakers ourselves and obviously not having a lot of reach right now, we're still growing, of course. You know, we have our podcast. But the thing is and a lot of these other elements in which, you know, bigger, you know, probably more lucrative and people who have better reach, they're able to get their, you know, feet wet with when it comes to film
Yeah.
festivals. You know, when you have your Sundance, when you have you know, Cannes film. Well, Cannes is, you know, across the pond, so
Yeah.
it's a little bit harder to get a hold of. But the thing is you have these notable smaller indie filmmakers that go to these huge major film festivals, and it always leaves us little guys, the really really little guys, you know, it leaves us out cold. And so it's nice that we actually get to see for once a chance that something is going to be available for us to view before it ever hits theaters, these are going to be some top tier films, indie flicks that are coming out that would only be viewed by
And there's
a
some
specialized
big
public.
names in there. Judd Apatow has a
Yeah.
film that was going to premiere there.
And so it's great that we're not sure exactly when. The launch is still pending as far as, when it's going to be on Amazon and, how long these films are going to be
I
available.
think that they said
They
it
said
was
10 days.
They said it was going to
It
be
is going to be a 10-day festival
Yeah, I
length.
said it's going to be the same length as the festival, 10 days. But for that entire 10 days, you can watch whatever.
and
I
it is
mean,
for free.
And it's for I think
You don't have to have a
Oh
Prime
no, you don't.
membership
You don't.
to
Yeah,
watch it.
yeah,
don't.
it's completely free. Yeah,
Nope. Yep.
and that's exciting for me because like you had mentioned, it's one of those things where being independent filmmakers is something that intrigues us anyways. But it's also one of those things where we often, because we're poor, we can't afford to go to these film festivals.
True. Oh, yeah.
So it's nice that with it being canceled, it's still going to happen, and now like we actually get an opportunity
I
to
would say
see
it gets to
some of these
happen in
films.
such a way that we get to enjoy. And the fact is if 10 days isn't long enough, because we are small, but we're privileged, we get screeners. So there will be a way to screen these
We'll
films
find-
Yeah.
after
That
the
was
10
my
days.
biggest
Life-
biggest worry
life
is
will
that I wouldn't
find
be
a
able to
way.
see all of them in 10 days.
Yeah.
It's just I don't get to watch a movie
like,
every
we
day.
will-
So
we
I'm
will
just
find
kind
a
of
way.
like but if they're going to be if we're going to receive those in the mail like we normally do, then we'll be able to
We'll be
Yeah.
able
to see everything and not miss anything.
Yes.
So.
Yeah.
So we're definitely looking forward to,
So yeah,
to
well,
South by
and
Southwest.
look
being-
forward to maybe a couple reviews from those.
Absolutely.
Oh, that would be awesome.
It's
Yeah.
like we don't have a whole lot to choose from right now, but that'll definitely give us some reviews to throw people's way. So
Yeah.
when they finally do hit the mainstream and not just as part of the festival, you'll know what to look out for.
Well, the filmmakers
Absolutely.
themselves are getting a good
Yeah.
deal because their content is getting shown to millions of people,
Yeah.
where normally it's just going to be shown
And
to the
you-
people.
actually,
at the festival.
yeah, because that'll be a big. Because some people this is their start. They enter
Yeah.
in film festivals like this, and a panel of judges decides what's good or not. But now that like so many people
Well,
can
that's the
see
thing.
it,
See, I
Usually
think it would be cool
depending-
if you go ahead first.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, depending on their reputation, sometimes producers aren't going to buy these films up
Yeah.
to distribute them, and sometimes a lot of them get left.
But
out
if
in the
they
cold.
view it on Amazon and
then
people
there's-
see, oh man, people are really responding to this movie on Amazon, they'll be more
Yeah.
willing to pick
See,
it up.
At one point, Amazon was throwing up 2 or 3 shows, and they would let the viewers vote on the shows.
I remember that.
And I think it would be awesome if Amazon did this South by Southwest thing and let viewers
Instead of a panel of
vote
judges,
on
yeah.
movies.
Yeah.
And
and then almost maybe
yeah,
decide on which one Amazon kind of sweeps up and says
Yeah,
we'll buy that.
possibly,
We'll
idea.
stream it
or maybe when
indefinitely.
theaters reopen, we know which ones
know
are
which ones are gonna-
going to go.
That would be a cool idea. I remember when they did that.
Yeah, because it was the Tick, and
they had the Zombieland TV series, which
yes.
didn't go anywhere,
Yeah.
thankfully, because it was not compared to the movie.
Terrible.
yeah.
But the other
Well, none of
interesting
they
thing-
had the same characters from the movie, but none of the original actors
Really?
played them.
Oh,
they were
that's-
all
yeah.
they were all
Okay, see,
actors
yeah.
playing
Yeah.
the same characters. And I'm like, I don't want to watch
But see,
this.
the other interesting thing about this is I know that a lot of people, and we've talked about it on here, we definitely are, and this is kind of leading into our next topic. We don't want to see theaters go anywhere. A film festival like this does kind of, richly, I guess, it richly desires to be film or shown in such a way that traditional films are. And so these film festivals are for taking your movie to a theater, having people pay to go see a full festival of films and view them in the proper format that the creator typically and traditionally wants. And we want that too. It's not like you were saying, it's not about, oh, we just get a bunch of films from this film festival to view on Amazon and never see it in a on a big screen.
Right, I'd like to
But-
see it go the distance.
Yeah, exactly. I'd like to see it not get left behind. And for me, that's the plus side of this, is that because it's not going to be just closed off to only people who pay a high dollar price for a film festival, it's going to be open to so many more, so that the ultimate thing for, I think, creators, whether it's shown in a theater or not, is that people will see their work.
Yeah.
And so for me, that's the one thing to applaud here. And that is the one thing that I'm super, super excited about with the South by Southwest going to be offered up on Amazon. So with that being the case, the next thing that we want to talk about, this is going to be getting into the weeds a little bit, but it needs to be discussed because we've obviously been now 3 weeks down, I think, with theaters.
Yeah.
No
Well,
theaters?
we just passed
The
this
3
past
week
weekend was
mark?
the third weekend they've been closed. We'll be coming up on the 4th. So
And so a little news came out this past week that circulated and is kind of, getting some fans of a certain subscription service a little bit, no, not MoviePass. They didn't make a comeback.
they're not coming back.
But the fact is that
What if they did that?
oh man, what if they bought them out? who I'm about to say. That's
That'd be
right.
crazy.
Who's in the headlines is AMC. The fact of the matter is that AMC is kind of in some trouble right now, simply because
They struggling.
they may not have the assets available to pay back their debtors. And the fact of the matter is that they've been borrowing quite a bit recently. So the real question is if the debt, collectors come a knocking, is AMC going to have enough cash on hand to pay so that they can get out from under the debt
I
collectors?
hear you knocking, but you can't come in.
That's
you
what
do.
they're hoping.
You just hide from them and hope they go away.
Yeah, you hope. Oh my gosh. So that
Yeah.
is the question: is are you all at all worried about AMC going under?
I mean, I don't think they're going to, but it does make me nervous because, I mean, AMC is the largest and oldest film chain, theater chain in America. They're 100 years old, which is impressive because, I mean, that's almost at the very beginning
It's
of when
almost,
film.
at the beginning of cinema. Yeah.
So it's impressive to know that they've been around that long. So to me, it's one of those things that I think that if they were to go under, it's kind of sad that a theater chain with that much history has now gone to the wayside. But it's also one of those things that because they are so big and they do have such a huge name, that it's one of those things that you almost think, well,
Somebody's going to pick it up.
Yeah, something they'll survive in some form or another.
Yeah. What about you, Sean?
I think Netflix is going to buy them.
That'd be
Ooh,
interesting.
Just kidding.
no. I don't think they can.
That would be
can't.
interesting.
I don't think
They
they
can't.
can. I don't think
No,
a
that
major
was a
distributor
joke.
like that can.
Production companies aren't allowed to own their own.
Well, they can't own a.
They
I
can
think
own like
can't
a
own
single
that one,
theater,
but
but
yeah,
they
can't own
their
a
own,
chain.
but
I
yeah.
don't think.
Yeah. No, I don't think I think there's a lot of uncertainty because of the coronavirus. There's a lot of everything is just up in the air, but I don't feel like something as big as AMC is going to go to the wayside. And just like Keith said, I think if it was going out, somebody would purchase it and keep it alive. I don't think we're going to see it just completely disappear. Because if it did, in a way, theater would, that would just die.
Yeah.
Because there's not enough other theater chains to take up the slack that AMC has.
And that's where I don't know. I agree, but I also don't know. I don't know. I think AMC is so big that you're right. I think you two are right. I think somebody else would come in, claim, the assets that are available, sweep it up and say, hey, we're going to brush this off.
Like when Hostess went under,
Yeah.
they didn't go
Yeah.
away.
Yeah.
Somebody just bought them and
That's
kept
true.
it going.
That's really true. Everybody thought we're never going to be able to get Twinkies again.
Yeah.
And now,
They're
but
fine.
they never missed a beat. They never went out of stores.
They're just a little smaller now.
Yeah. Yeah. Less cream. They don't last 1,000 years anymore either.
No, they don't.
But no, they would never even miss a beat. If somebody picked
Right.
up AMC, it would be like they never.
Well, and that's the only other thing is I think, for one, it really puts in question if whether or not, to me, what this speaks volumes of is whether or not AMC is really in the right kind of care, and the right kind of leadership.
Yeah.
Because if this is a problem right now in this situation, and again, this is not to blame them because nobody saw, the effect that coronavirus was coming. But the fact of the matter is that if no other theater chain ends up in the same boat, now if it starts happening a month or two out, then we know that, okay, they were all in the same boat. They were just a little bit staggered as to when it was affecting them. But for AMC to already be in this trouble to try to, because they are the biggest,
Yeah.
I think it really does speak volumes of, depending on what it means for them long term, it could just mean, okay, we need new leadership because obviously the direction of the company you all were going in wasn't strong enough to keep.
It tells me
keep
I
up
don't
during
think
a
any
crisis.
company prepared to be out of business
absolutely,
for months.
Absolutely
No.
not.
And that's what I'm saying. That's why you're seeing
But
Logan's go out of business.
But at the same time, Logan's, like I said,
they
like,
had financial trouble
before, and it
but
makes
with
you
2 or
wonder-
3 months of no, business, that they have no other choice.
that could be any company. But I was gonna say,
But then again, there's also other big companies that have the coffers
For
to
now.
say,
That are
hey,
staying
we're
alive, yeah.
okay. We're
Right.
good. And even some that are like, we couldn't stay open, but we got to furlough or let go of
Yeah.
employees.
and that's what makes me wonder
Yeah.
about AMC, because it's like, if like you said, if it becomes the staggered effect where you're seeing them all, and of course the longer businesses are closed, the more likely businesses are going to shut down permanently.
Right.
But when it happens this soon out of the gate, just like with Logan's, it's like you have to wonder. It's like, well, what was their financial situation before? Like, how were they managing their money before this happened
Yes.
for
Yeah.
them to go under this quickly?
Yes.
Now, I mean, absolutely, any company is going to go under if they have to remain closed indefinitely.
Indefinitely.
Yeah.
It's just, I think that is the question here. Is it's not to because that's the thing, I don't know the nitty gritty of what's involved, and AMC was probably doing just fine. I mean, we talked about how much shade they were throwing MoviePass for over a year, because AMC himself were like, this is not sustainable.
Yeah.
You can't do this, and they knew it.
Oh, yeah.
But yet in the alternative, they created a product that we all enjoy with AMC Stubbs A-List, but now we're in this boat of a national pandemic or a worldwide pandemic, and they're facing that troublesome sign of, oh no, we weren't prepared for this. Nobody is. But how come all these other companies who are able to take the pay cuts at the top, furlough some employees, are doing okay?
Even a company like Apple, if they lost the iPhone, I mean, if they were not able to produce iPhones, Apple would be in dire straits.
Well, of course, it's over 50%
they have a lot of
their
money
revenue.
in reserve, but I'm just saying they would be starting to nitpick and make changes.
Yeah, to play devil's advocate with myself a little bit, because I like to do that. Like, I mean, not every company.
Devil.
I know. Well, because I am saying what was their financial situation before, but also in defense of some companies, what people don't realize is companies don't just sit on this. They're not like Scrooge McDuck diving into this vault of money. They don't just have these huge pools of cash just sitting around.
Well, I was gonna say,
they
Apple
reinvest.
does.
Apple's
got $100-something billion
that's the anomaly
just
right
sitting
there.
there.
Right.
But they typically, most companies reinvest in their company. They have to pay their employees. They have to pay the bills.
Right.
They have to invest money in things they think will help make them money. So I mean, there's constantly a cycle of
it's
of
a revolving
cash.
door.
It's not just this. Oh, we're making money now. We're gonna throw it in the vault and sit on it. I mean, yes.
No, AMC got money, and then they opened 1,000 more theaters.
Yes.
or 100 more theaters.
Yes.
That's what they do.
They
That's why
spend
they're the
money.
largest in the world.
You gotta
is
spend money to
because-
make money.
That's right. They gotta. But if all those places close, then you're
screwed.
You're facing what they're facing now.
Yeah.
And I mean,
Yeah.
and again, it's not to just completely point the finger at AMC and say they're in trouble. It is just a question of, does this mean, is this going to be a changing of the guard? Is this going to be a changing of leadership? Or is this going to be one of those things where I think ultimately, because of the situation they're in, it's unique. It's not something to think dire of, because if they really did have to go into a situation like Logan's Roadhouse, where they just have to shut their theaters down,
Completely be done for
there's
good.
going to be somebody that comes in, buys up the assets that are available, and says, we'll make sure AMC stays alive because of the fact that it's got a name, it's got a brand.
It's a brand that
it's
people wanna
synonymous
go
with
to.
enjoyment and entertainment.
That's the
and
good
people
thing it
know
has going for it, is
Right.
that it is so big and well known that someone will, like you said, scoop it up and buy it, and they're never going to really see a change in things. My biggest worry, I'm being honest, and it's just because I'm selfish,
AMC Stubbs
is
A-List.
AMC Stubbs.
Yeah.
Like,
I
if
love
I
it, yeah.
lose the Stubbs thing, then
Okay, let me
it's
ask
gonna
you
hurt
this.
my pocketbook
And-
going to the movie theater.
And if there was no guarantee, but what if they sent out an email to all the Stubbs A-List members and they said, we're facing uncertain, times here
Yep.
and these dire straits. Is there a chance, not even that, if they just said, can we charge you for your Stubbs A-List? We'll make it up on the back end, but just to get cash flow generated for the months that you're not seeing movies because our theaters are closed, we are going to charge you your $20 subscription price.
Well, I'd have to know what they're
Would
going
you-
to give me at the end of it all.
But
Yeah.
okay, that's my question though. If there was no promise,
If they gave me a good enough, like, hey, we'll give you this after the fact, I might be okay, but I'd have to know what I'm going to get in return, because I don't think realistically even that would be enough to save. If you're in that bad
Agreed.
shape,
Agreed.
charging everybody their $20 isn't going to save you
No.
anyways.
I agree.
So
I agree.
No.
Yep.
and that would piss a lot of people off, because
Yes.
MoviePass did
MoviePass did that.
MoviePass
Yeah.
charged people.
And then once you start
And
putting that bad taste in customers' mouths, you
Yeah.
start losing them.
now,
So-
if like Keith said though, if you knew you were going to get something in the end, like if you were going to, hey, give me some stock in AMC,
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
true, and then it'll bounce back.
yeah.
That-
I mean, give me
that-
some
that
stock.
would be holy crap.
And
I'd be okay.
that way I'm owning a piece of AMC.
Well,
I helped you bring your company back to life.
And
so
we've already
give
talked
me
about
something.
a little bit when the crisis hit first. We were talking about how it was going to hurt theaters, but we even said that when theaters are on the back, on the back end of this and on the up and up, apparently, that they're gonna have to offer some us customers
Incentive
something
to come back. Yeah.
Because it's like not only it's not about being fearful, it's just why would we come back to something that we've lived at without? And then two, it's like if people have gotten used to streaming things and people start asking that question of, well, why can't you just bring movies out directly to my home? You just did it for the last 3 months. Movie theaters are going to have to find new and inventful ways. So it's already like you're not only just facing the uncertainty of right now and how long are these theaters going to be closed, you're also facing, the uncertainty of, what is next?
Will people
and
come
will
back?
people come
Yeah.
back? Because if we're already facing dwindling sales on the back end or having to do so many different like promotions to get people back in the seats, well, we're going to be losing money when when people come back.
And the good thing is that most people are easy to please. So I find that. I find that if you offer somebody something because of something that's gone wrong or whatever, people are usually genuinely easy to please. And if AMC was to just say, for the next month, it's our celebration for coming back, it's free popcorn. Don't matter, large, small, whatever. You come in our theater and pay for a ticket, you're getting a free popcorn for a month. This is for, I think people will come like crazy.
Yeah,
people that
that's
haven't
true.
come to the theater in months or years.
If you do free popcorn and a Coke.
Yeah.
Well, maybe
I'm not,
even that.
I'm not going to eat popcorn without a Coke.
A free combo.
So if you give me a
But
free combo,
they have the money
They've
to
done
do
free
that.
combo
And if they
things
made it
before.
like this is our re-grand opening, make it like this
Yes.
celebration
Agreed.
thing. You can be a part of the re-grand opening. Come on
hell,
in,
if
and
they
you're going to
gave
get
you
a free combo.
3 months of Stubbs A-List for free.
Oh yeah, a
Or
3-month trial.
A 3-month
Yeah,
trial, and
yeah.
said, "Hey, come in
That's
here."
that's a good idea too.
I mean, that puts a lot of money
Yes.
at risk up front, but at the same time, on the back end, it's like
you get people to come
you
back.
get people to come back,
Yep.
and then you can have them pay.
The
for
biggest
some-
thing is
for,
getting people to come back in.
concessions.
If you can get people to come back in and then show them why they come to the theater in the first place because of that experience you can't get in your own home unless
Yes.
you're like
Yeah.
a billionaire and can afford to put a theater in your own house.
Tim Cook
Yeah.
and all that, the billions that Apple's sitting on.
Yeah.
he ain't
Just
helping
sitting
his
there.
employees. I'm
I
just
think
kidding.
what this all shows is we need to buy AMC and run it.
Oh.
I think
Hey,
Red Moon.
Does Red Moon have that in the pocketbook?
Let's just, it's going to be a hefty check.
Yeah.
But I mean, look around here, guys. I've
Look.
got all this fancy
Got all
stuff.
this.
Let's just
Got a new camera.
Let's
I mean,
just
I mean,
scrap
come on.
that idea and just go buy the old Kenwood Drive-In and reopen it. That's the real money.
Hey,
maker.
everybody's going to the
Red
drive-in
Moon
now.
Drive-in.
I've seen online where people are like,
That one's
"Let's."
good.
Say,
That's
I've
legit.
seen people
That's
online.
good.
They said, "Let's save the movie industry by making drive-ins successful." And I was like, "I'm sorry, that's not
Not
going
gonna
to be
work.
enough."
No.
No.
I mean,
It's-
drive-ins are cool. I love them.
Even
but
if you had the latest and greatest,
Yeah.
if they started, because most of the time, that's the thing, it wouldn't be anything for the movie theaters to launch in a drive-in. They don't have to just show old movies.
Yeah.
But even then, the drive-ins were never popular to begin with. They were a
No.
nice,
well, they were
gotta-
popular.
they were
back in
popular.
the day, but
but they weren't an escape like
Yeah.
going to. They weren't as popular as going to.
you
the
got to
theater.
think just within our area, just within the city of Louisville, there's 5 theaters, and if you count the 2 right across the river, I mean that's 7 theaters.
Yeah.
In this area that people can go to. The closest drive-in is about an hour and a half drive away.
Yes.
And that's just the only one within that amount of time. So it's just they're not huge. They're never going to be as
Well, yeah,
widespread
it's
as
like
theater
I agree,
chains.
and I think the support is great. But yeah, to think that somehow
It's
going to
it's like
support
a
your local
nostalgic-
drive-in,
It's a nostalgic
gonna
niche.
just bring movie
Yeah.
theaters
Yeah,
back.
it's a nostalgic niche, and I do
Yeah.
love the drive-in experience, but it's also not something that you do want to do like every weekend.
no,
I mean,
it's not.
no.
But
My first date was at a drive-in.
Mm.
So
I have very fond memories of the Kenwood
were there.
drive-in. Hey, I wasn't the only one there.
I know you weren't the only one there.
But yeah, no, I have a lot of fond memories of going with people from church to
Yeah,
Kenwood Drive-In. I
that's
mean,
right.
there's a lot of.
well, and I love the idea. I'm not saying don't go to the drive-in.
No,
but
we
yeah,
understand,
for
yeah.
people
well,
who
right
are
now
saying,
all they're showing are
That's-
old movies because
Yeah.
they don't have
They
anything
don't
else
have
to
anything
show.
new, yeah.
So
but it's still one of those things where it's just like it's not. That's not going to be the answer. I mean, it's great. Yeah, go to the drive-in, but
I'm glad people want to support the movie industry and keep it from
absolutely.
dying, but
Yeah.
the theater chains are going to die before the movie industry dies.
yes,
Yeah.
And trust me, the studios are going to be fine. They can be delayed, but they're going to be fine. They're already
Hollywood
used to
will
being
bounce
out.
back.
They're already used to being out hundreds of millions of dollars.
I'll be honest. Hollywood. I mean, I love films, and obviously we need the film industry to keep Red Moon going. But Hollywood right now is kind of
Growing
the
too.
Yeah,
You can
growing
say that.
and going. But Hollywood.
We're
is,
going to
is one
become
of
the film industry. That's all you
Yes.
need is Red Moon.
I'm not real super concerned about Hollywood right now.
No.
I
There's
think they're
other
gonna be
things that
okay.
are yes. That's the thing. We make this a central topic in our lives because it's our passion. It's what
Oh,
we
yeah.
love. But obviously, movies and entertainment. The only big thing that we've kind of carried as a banner of a bastion as to why we talk about this is because of the fact that entertainment and movies in particular have been an escape before during
Cinema's
terrible
made it through the
times.
Great Depression, both
Yes.
World Wars. It's made it through a lot of tough times.
It'll make it through Corona.
People are going to go. They're going to go
Exactly.
back to the movie theaters.
Oh,
They
yeah.
will. And now the way it looks, or if we have as many theater chains because of all this, that might be different. The theater landscape might be something completely new, especially with
It's gonna be
production
a lot
companies.
of crying babies in the theater when we all come back.
Named Corona and COVID.
Oh, gosh. But no, I definitely don't think it's the end of AMC. They'll be fine. Somebody else will come in and snatch them up if they do happen to go under. But at the end of the day, they've got too big a brand and too many faithful viewers and too many, truthfully invested assets across the nation and across the world that somebody will take part in. AMC will live on. All right, guys, I think we're wrapped on our headlines there. I guess we're ready to move on to our unique,
Wrap it up.
Ooh, what is
well,
it?
especially during Corona.
Yeah, wrap it up.
I guess
Wrap everything up.
that's true. We don't want to be out here during all the nastiness spreading
Yep.
of disease. All right, guys, I think, yes, we are ready to move on to our unique weekly segment, which happens to be Story Time.
It's story time, where the podcast members tell their stories.
Story
time.
Story time.
What was it that you
You
said
know-
earlier with the lisp?
I don't know.
It was
Vin
an accent.
Diesel?
Vin Diesel.
Diesel?
Diesel.
I just spit when I did that
Diesel.
one. Oh,
We
Vin
were-
Diesel?
We were getting our Great Day segment together, and I said,
Yeah.
Vin Diesel.
Vin Diesel. Like we had the perfect opening to that.
It was good.
And
Like
he
it was
ruined it.
really
It
good.
was
and
really
the
good.
last thing he said was Diesel.
Diesel.
Oh man.
I screwed it up. It was,
Yeah.
It was bad.
He's so unprofessional.
All right, we're still in quarantine.
Quarantine.
We've got our show weekly
Quarantine.
here.
It's hard to come. It's hard to make news stories when you're just stuck in your house all day.
Well, I don't know. There's plenty of stories going around.
I know,
We-
like baby Corona and COVID.
that's-
Yeah. That's messed up.
That is messed up.
Why would you do that to your child?
I don't
Don't
know.
do that. Don't name. Look, you're already.
He
you're
sounds
already.
so serious. Like,
Don't
don't
do
name
it.
your kid Corona and don't name your child COVID.
But I mean, honestly
true.
though, you knew somebody was gonna do it.
Yeah.
I mean,
I knew. Look, and it didn't surprise me when it happened, but I will say I was even. It was funny when Skyrim came out way back when, and they said that if you have a child on 11/11/11 and you name him Dragonborn, then you get free Bethesda games for the rest of your life. And of course, there was a couple that did it. And so
Well, of course,
it's like
they
Wow.
wanted those free
Yeah.
games for the rest
they
of their
wanted
life.
those free games. Yeah. So it's like, I mean,
I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't name my child that because I mean I'm smarter than that. But at
could
the
it
same
be the middle
time,
name?
like Dragonborn's kind of badass. It's
It
like
is.
it's better than Corona.
yeah.
well, that's what I'm saying. What if you went with like Dragonborn COVID or something?
Oh.
my
Honestly, I said this
Dragonborn.
earlier. If COVID wasn't a disease, like if it actually sounds kind of cool.
Yeah, no, I will say it sounds like one of those unique
Hey,
names
COVID.
that somebody would use these days. Like
Yeah.
somebody would name their kid COVID. It does. Oh no.
I'm just laughing at Neil's.
He said, "Does Vin
Comment.
Diesel
He's
got
a-
any pigeons? Yeah.
Got any pigeons?
Pigeons.
Like Mike Tyson.
Mike Tyson.
Mike Tyson.
Pigeons.
My pigeons.
My pigeons.
This is not the story time segment.
I
we
said-
planned
I-
on.
well,
We
now
planned
I'm
on.
thinking of like
what's the story time? What is it? Let's go.
all right.
It's pigeons.
It's pigeons. Welcome to Earth. All right, so
Well,
no,
that was Will Smith.
That was
Welcome
Will
to
Smith. No, our story time segment this week, because we're still in the midst of all the corona. What is the worst thing that has happened so far because of corona to you?
Oh.
Or
Okay. That wasn't what I was expecting, actually.
what? Well, no, it's just worst COVID story so far.
I don't know. Nothing like terrible. Like, I mean, okay.
Look, there's a reason
It's
why.
like I don't have a job. I don't have. No, I mean
Well,
I have a job, but I'm furloughed.
furloughed.
as of
I'm
next week.
struggling to find a job because
Right.
a lot of places
COVID.
Nobody's
aren't-
hiring anything
I
now.
mean, well, so many people are getting laid off. It's
Hey,
like,
you
how
got-
can you hire somebody when you got to cut all your employees?
Yeah.
So, I mean, there are still essential businesses, but even them
Say
are,
now, Dave Ramsey
are-
was on there talking about you can be a delivery driver.
true.
or something,
Yeah.
you know.
I have looked into that.
yeah.
I mean,
And you don't even have to do it for like Domino's or pizza. You could be like Uber Eats or Lyft or something.
It's
you know?
just that doesn't really pay the bills, but
No,
if it's
it
all I
doesn't.
can get, that's what I'll have to take. I mean, until
But then again, that's
until
wear and tear
Corona's
on your
over.
car, and
It's one of those things where there's not a lot of ideal situations. Like, obviously, you have to do what you have to do.
I had to get a
survive.
haircut in the parking lot to survive.
This is good.
Like, I mean, I'm serious. There's like, I think all of us could say, like, literally, there's a lot of changes
yes,
that not like life-changing things, but a lot of
I mean,
changes,
we're-
like a lot of inconveniences.
I would say we're
say.
talking first world problems.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
We're first
exactly.
world problems,
But it's
here,
like,
you know,
yeah,
we're-
furlough. Had to get a haircut in the parking lot. Got eaten by a dog. When we were buying a dog
Trying to buy a
because of the
puppy, you got
coronavirus.
attacked.
I would say,
It's
but
like,
you got a good
the
deal.
only
on the
reason
pup.
we're buying the dog is because of the deal we were getting because of coronavirus.
Yeah.
It's like nobody's buying puppies, so they're cheap right now. That sounds terrible.
That's-
but
So
I got
nobody
I got
wants the
bit by another
puppies.
dog on the property. I mean, it's like you can't get things done to your car that you might need done. There's some places
yeah.
that are open, but
Yeah.
some aren't.
No, that's
And
true.
then you're struggling with the TP. Like, I'm just saying,
Yeah.
like, there's a
In
lot
serious notes, though, I mean, we do have friends that we know, like they have family members that
That
where
are sick. Yeah.
that not just sick, but have lost jobs, have been
Yeah.
laid
Yeah.
off, furloughed.
Well, and,
I mean,
and
my mom,
I would
like
say
I said,
your mom is
my mom
actually,
lost her cousin's husband recently just died of corona, and
Yes.
I didn't know them very well. But I mean, my mom grew up with it was a cousin she grew up with and did know very well. So I
Yeah.
mean, that's affected her. And I mean, there's so many other situations going on that corona obviously is making a lot harder for everybody.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. I'm not, wanting to make light of it, but it's in the midst of all of the
We
terrible
lost Gomer
news.
Pyle.
Yeah.
Yes.
that
And
actually,
I mean,
yeah,
I
that's
mean, not
terrible.
the big joke, but I mean, I do like Gomer Pyle. Like, I hate
Yep.
to hear that he succumbed to corona.
There's been a lot of famous people
Yeah.
that have already. I mean, it's kind of crazy, but it's like, look, I mean, it's one thing that has opened up your eyes, especially when you hear of more well-known people, especially like you were talking about with your mom and the her. Someone
You
close
don't
to her.
think about it
You
until
don't
somebody you
until
know
it impacts
passes.
you.
That's what I was
personally.
getting ready to say.
Exactly.
It's just like we've joked about it, and even not just joked, but we've been serious about some of the other things that we've read. It's devastating, but
Yeah.
yeah, when it's somebody
I mean,
in your own
yeah.
family, it's like I don't know anybody that's been affected by it.
It's like
yet,
you definitely
other
have to
than-
take it seriously, and we do, and we have made jokes. But I mean, sometimes all you can do is joke. It's not that we're
yeah.
making light
Well,
of.
you have
I'm
to
not saying-
laugh.
You
and-
want it's better to
yeah,
laugh than to
that's
cry.
right.
Yes.
And it's like in
It's
the
not that we're
midst of
making light of the
something-
situation.
No.
We definitely take it seriously, but
Yeah.
sometimes all you can do is laugh.
And I'm sorry, but it is those little lighthearted moments of like, yeah, you had to get a haircut in the parking lot.
Yeah.
And I'm literally going from five different
is-
stores
it
to
is
find
tacky.
toilet paper.
It's tacky and
it's
embarrassing.
ridiculous.
but,
Been there.
You got to do what you got to do.
Gone store to store just to find a scrap of tissue paper.
Yeah, I seriously thought it would be over in a month, and it's like,
Yeah.
I went to a
I
store.
thought it was a hoax.
I did too.
No, I'm
I
just
thought you're just like
wow.
landing on the moon.
It was- I didn't even think about this, but Brian said he couldn't get his check engine light checked because the employees aren't allowed to actually go get because they have to get in
They
your
have to
car,
get into
there,
your car.
and they don't want the employees to do that.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
yeah.
Well, and even from the simplest things of like if you go through a drive-through, it's like now they're no longer they've got glass in front
Yes.
of the drive-through windows. They've got gloves.
Hand your food
They
out
hand
on
out a tray,
Yeah.
yeah. Exactly.
Some
It's-
stores have like when you go through the line at grocery stores and stuff, they have partitions separating the. And I mean, it is crazy to see all that, and some of it you have to wonder. It's like honestly, I mean,
How well is
how
this
much
going
is
to actually?
it's like them wearing gloves at a restaurant. It's like if they hand if they're grabbing money from everybody and not changing the gloves, it does no good.
I was gonna say, and then not only that, but it's like, yeah, how often are they changing the gloves? And it's like you just made my food with your hands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because even some with like the gloves on, it's like, but then you're grabbing the paper bag and then you're handing that to the person, and
What
it's
people
like,
don't
come
realize is because I mean I worked for the restaurant business and anytime the health department came in, I mean, because you have to, and it's not that people don't do this regularly, it's just unrealistic for them to do it. Anytime you grab something, put it on the grill, you're supposed to take your gloves off, wash your hands, put new gloves on. And no, nobody, like a lot of times, yes, I mean, they don't grab like raw meat and then go grab your veggies with the same
Yeah.
gloves on. That would be gross. But nobody really grabs like
No.
one piece of meat, change their gloves, grab another piece of meat. Not to try to gross anybody out, but it's just like it's one of those things.
It's
that-
not
Yeah,
realistic.
It's
Yeah,
not realistic.
realistic.
Yeah.
But that's the thing is that's what you have to do to prevent passing on stuff is you have to take the gloves off, wash your hands, put new gloves on every time you touch something different.
Yeah.
And it's realistically, people don't even think to do that. So I'm not saying don't wear gloves or don't take protective measures, but you do have to be more self-aware.
The most recent thing has just been because, at first it was misinformation and it wasn't going to do any good, but it was wearing face masks wasn't going to help. And now all of a sudden
it's like everybody needs to wear them.
If you have something and you have like a bandana and you can make it into one, go ahead and do it.
I was handed face masks today at work, and I have to wear it
for your last week.
For the last week.
Yeah.
And because somebody from work did complain to the health department that we weren't taking the right measures, and the place I work has gone above and beyond as far as that goes, just not wearing a mask. You work at a call center. How are you supposed to talk on the phone with a mask on all day?
It sounds like somebody who just didn't want to have to be.
They didn't want to work. Yeah, we know who it was and all that stuff. But that's what it was. It came back to bite them in the butt because we didn't get sent home. We have to wear a mask now.
Right.
But it's just silly that even the Surgeon General himself has said the mask is just to keep someone who is sick from spreading it.
Yeah.
It's not going to keep you from getting it.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it helps a little, little bit, but it's not. It's
not.
It's
not an invincibility cloak. It's not.
But that's the weird thing is it's those little things of walking around, other than just not seeing freaking toilet paper on the shelf.
Yep.
It's like, but just seeing people walking around with the lines.
Crazy things, because some people come up with the weirdest crap thinking it helped. One of my favorite things, I got on Facebook the other day, and it had pictures of all these different people in stores. Somebody had like a plastic bottle that they cut the bottom out and put over their head.
Oh my
and it's
gosh.
like just the craziest things they think, because they think as long as there's something in front of their mouth,
they're
protected.
they're okay.
And it's like, sorry,
no,
it doesn't work that
way. If you
way.
breathe, then you can get it.
Yes.
I mean, if you can get oxygen in your lungs, then you can catch this virus.
And that's why, I mean, I was losing my crap because of the toilet paper, but then that's why I was mad about them not saying something on the store. It's like, fine if you don't want to broadcast that you have it and attract everybody, but at least give us a heads up when you don't, so that you create less foot traffic.
Here's the idea
and then you don't have as much. You have more social distancing.
And I liked it. Here's something, because Myers, like with some of their meat that's been going out fast, like they've actually kept the meat in their butcher shop, and you have to go up to the counter and ask the butcher for like hamburger, and they'll give it to you. And I was like, someone said, why don't they do that with toilet paper?
Yeah.
You have to go to a certain like lane or whatever and say, I want.
At first,
that
I
way
thought
people
that was
can't
the case.
just. And I mean, yes, they say limit it to like one, but it's like, how realistic do you think? Okay, a mom goes in, buys it, then the husband goes in and gets another roll, and then the kids go, and if it's limited to 2, well then
you just got
how many members are in that family? They just walked out with 10 packages because a different person went to the register and bought
exactly.
it.
It's not. It doesn't take a brain surgeon to figure out how to outwit that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, that was the problem. Is I'm sitting here thinking, well, now you've got all this more, other foot traffic going in there, and then you've got more potential, cases being spread. And you're trying to limit traffic anyway.
Yeah.
And let alone, I thought that was the case when I first started seeing the signs of limiting one per person.
I'm shocked by how many
people I thought
people
it was going to be like old movie rental places where.
Well, no, I mean, I'll drive past like Kroger's because it's by like on my way home, depending on where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
And it's always packed. I'm still shocked to see like how many people are still going out when they don't have to. I'm like, good Lord, like not this many people can still constantly need this much stuff.
Well, people are selective with their protective measures too, which I think is fun. Like I was at Kroger today before I came here.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're exactly right.
I was looking at the gift card kiosk, and this old lady had her mask on and had her gloves on, pushing her cart, and she was looking at them too. And she literally, like when I got over there and started looking at them, she backed away.
Yeah.
And I was just like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to get in front of you." And she said, "Oh no, I'm just moving away." And then she tried to be like, "It's not so much me. It's for you." And all this stuff. But then I got in line, and this lady was in line, the line next to me, and she was all up on the person in front of them, like trying to get checked out faster. And like hovering over her shoulder
that's
in
not
the
gonna help
self-checkout.
you. Yeah,
and I'm just like, you wouldn't get close to me,
right?
But you'll get close to her because it's time to check out.
Yeah,
I'm like, you
exactly.
can't just pick and choose
what
when you're going to be
safety
safe.
measures you're going to follow because it's all
I was at when I went to Aldi's that one day I was texting you all. I watched this woman walk around with her mask around her neck, and then right before she got into the checkout line,
she put it on.
She put it on.
Yeah.
I was like, what was the purpose of
Yeah,
that?
just in case that cashier's got it.
Yeah,
It's
like, well, this is where all the people go is checkout, not every other part of the store.
Yeah.
I mean, no, it is. But it is still that crazy scene of going out and seeing some of this and just. It's like, we're all limiting foot traffic, and it is nice to not just be depressed by all the news and just surrounding ourselves with it. But it is still crazy to me that there's going to be a lot of things that change after this is over. And you know, I think a lot of the changes that this brings is going to be what's kind of interesting when, you know, we try to get back to normal, quote unquote.
Yeah.
And I think that's, you know, that's going to be par for the course. That's what happens in these situations, is you want to be better protected for something like this in the future. But it's just crazy to see certain little things already, you know, just seeing lines on the floor of where to stand, and seeing people where, you know, I mean, it's crazy, but even going to church, it's like we've got a sign-up sheet now. You know, we're broadcasting on Facebook, and we have that luxury. But even just, you know, only so many people can be in the sanctuary. I drove up to my church this past Sunday, actually. And oddly enough, when I drove in there, I had to get there early.
Churches are doing it online.
Online.
Ours is only online. There's nobody there.
Where I go has been online. They, Cloverfield Baptist Church. They've been doing
Cloverleaf.
Cloverfield.
Cloverfield.
We're talking about movies.
That's
yeah,
a different kind of church.
Cloverleaf has been doing it online.
You're the one that let out all them monsters.
Some churches have been getting in a lot of trouble for still having having sessions. I know Andy Bashir, going back to Pop Andy,
now
has
here's
called
the thing, and that's why I
You
want
can't be doing that.
You can't be doing that. I mean, that's why I wanted to draw that distinction. Is we when I drove up, I had to get there early to run projection and get Facebook Live going.
It's funny because I actually looked at Draw's website, and they have a sign up so that only so many people can attend.
We're limiting it to we're following the guidelines and the restrictions. But when I got there early, there were 2 cops in the parking lot.
Oh wow!
And I was a little bit like, oh no, are they here to shut us down? Are they going to try to say no? You know, if y'all can do it online, just do it there. But the pastor was out there talking to him, and I happened to walk in at the moment that they were, and they were like, we just want to make sure that, you know, if you need anything, you just call us. But, you know, and he assured him, he said, no, we've got signups. We're only allowing so many people. We have literally every other pew is you have to sit every other pew, and the pews that you can sit in have tape on them where you can sit. So that everybody is spaced apart. And it's just like, I mean, we're taking the proper precautions.
Like Grace Point Baptist Church, formerly Highview, formerly Valley Station Baptist, where my aunt and uncle still go. They've been doing theirs in the parking lot. Like the pastor has been on like a loudspeaker, and people like will sit in their cars while he's on the loudspeaker, and they've been attending church that way.
My dad's church, actually, he bought an FM transmitter, and he's hooking it up to their sound system to where they can listen to it on the radio inside their cars.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, wow,
for
that's
Easter
cool.
Sunday.
That's actually
that's
really,
how they're going to do Easter
really
Sunday.
awesome.
So it's almost like a drive-in, but
like
a drive-up
exactly like
church.
a drive-in, but it's going to be
Well,
just
that's
in the
cool.
church parking lot.
That's really cool. Yeah.
But it is just, it's crazy in all these different ways in which, you know, this has, you know, changed our
It's
lives.
just changed everything.
It's changed everything.
Yeah.
So we're going to continue to carry on as much as we can. Obviously, we're taking precautions here. We're wiping everything down. We're trying to make sure that, you know, if any one of us, you know, here at the Red Moon Podcast, if we feel ill, we're
still going to come.
we're going to power through. No, we're going to make sure
spread
that
it to each other. It'll be okay.
we'll have our iPads hooked up, and technology's our friend.
We have the capability of phoning in.
We do.
Yeah.
We do.
We have that option. But
I used that option not too long ago.
and we may have to
I had the
if the time comes.
Yep.
But yours was the Ohio Valley.
Ugly.
crud.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, mine was we think. I mean, we don't truly
I'm
know.
still convinced. I'm still convinced a lot of people have had it and never knew they had
Oh
it.
yeah,
True.
absolutely.
I agree.
think.
I'm
Well,
100%.
and we're only going to
believe
find out when all the testing is
Yeah.
you know, done. And that's the thing, when the testing kits even become
There's lots of
readily
people
available.
that got sick in the fall that reported, you know, flu-like symptoms, but were never like they went to the doctor.
They tested
didn't
negative
confirm
for the
that-
flu, yeah.
A lot of people had stuff, and they just thought they just got really sick. I worked with a lady. I remember very specifically. She said she'd never been sick like that, never had the flu, and she was sick for like 2 weeks, and they didn't. It was just. Well, and it passed, and it very much. I'm not saying she had it, but it's a very real possibility.
Yeah. And that's the scary thing about this, but we're going to stay vigilant. We're going to make sure that we try to attend here every single week for your all's, you know, viewing pleasure and for our own. We enjoy doing this. We enjoy doing it for all of our viewers and listeners out there. But of course, we're going to take the proper precautions. We're going to make sure that we stay healthy. We want you all to stay healthy and join in on the conversation. Join us every single week here on Facebook
Diesel.
and YouTube. Yeah,
Brandon can't speak tonight.
I can't. I probably have the COVID. That was a terrible joke.
I don't know
to
if
throw
that's.
at
I
that.
don't know if that's one of the side effects or not.
There's
There's so many different ones.
and every day a new symptom comes out.
It's like
So,
a week
I
ago
don't
I
know.
had pink eye, and then it was literally while I had it that was like became
I was
one of
worried
the
when
symptoms.
you said it because
That
I was like,
one of the things. They
why
were
are
just
you
like,
coming here?
pink eye, but you also have all these other symptoms. I'm just like, no, my kid just sneezed in my eyes, and I got pink eye from him.
Well,
So,
and thankfully, when you said you took the was it the antibiotic
yeah.
and it was fine after.
Oh
that.
yeah,
For like 2 days,
a couple
and
of
you were
days.
good.
Yeah.
But again, stay vigilant out there, stay safe, and again, if you're joining a large crowd, can't be doing that. Can't be doing that.
I just rubbed a pink eye on you.
Uh-oh.
Well, it's over now.
Is it?
I mean, it can't be any. Listen.
All right, guys, we're done.
Yeah, we're done. We better stop.
All right, there is one thing everybody can do if they want to tell us how they're enjoying their quarantine or what movies they're watching or binging. You can always email us at rmpodcast@redmoonproductions.com. Right there. Right there in your corner.
At the bottom.
That's right, Sean. rmpodcast@redmoonproductions.com.
Right here.
Ooh, yeah.
Am I tickling it?
Over. Yeah, there it is.
Oh, yeah.
It
You're
likes-
right. You're right
it
on
likes
the
when you
shuns.
tickle it.
rmpodcast@redmoonproductions.com.
That's it. That's it, Keith.
Not
Right
org.
there. No.
Com.
Not .net. .com.
We're big league.
Big league.
Big league.
We're big league. All right, guys. I think that's going to do it for us this week on our episode of the Red Moon Podcast. Until next time, I am one of your hosts, Brandon Davidson, alongside our normal new host,
Sean Sebastian.
and
Keith Cheatham.
so until next time, we will
We'll
see you next year,
see ya.
next
Yeah.
Tuesday.
We hope you enjoyed this week's episode. For more reviews, previous podcast shows, and everything Red Moon, visit our website, redmoonproductions.com. You can also like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter by searching for Red Moon Productions, LLC. We'll see you at the movies.